Page 38, theme from Choral Symphony. The Choral Symphony is Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. If you haven't heard it, please go look up Ninth Symphony by Beethoven and listen to it. This melody is from the last movement. And it's called a choral symphony because there's actually a chorus and vocal singers, I guess singers are vocal, singers singing in this symphony. At the top of the page, they're introducing you to a new type of note they call a quaver. Now, that's their name. Remember, a crotchet is a quarter note. A quaver, here in America, we call an eighth note. We simply deal with the numbers. So we have whole, half, quarter, eighth. Just divide it up each time. Then they show what they look like. If you have one, it looks like a quarter note, but it has that little flag on it. That's an eighth note, or what they call a quaver. If you have more than one together, they beam them together like that, and they're eighth notes. It's still like they took the flag and they tied them together or something, and you get a beam. Use your imagination. Most of the time when they beam them together like that, it'll be according to the beat, because we want to feel beats in music. It's a beaty thing. Yeah. So they'll beam them together according to the beat. Look at the last line here. Second and third measure, you have these eighth notes. So the first beat is a quarter note, and then you have these two eighth notes, they're beamed together. If they come on beat 2, then the next quarter note's on beat 3. There's different ways of counting these. Different teachers teach different methods. I simply put an and in between the numbers, because as I'm counting the beats, I'm using numbers. This is a 4/4 time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so for eighth notes, I just put an and in between them. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. See, eighth notes go twice as fast as quarter notes. So at the bottom, and they're doing it this way too, it's 1 and 2 and. See, they're only putting the and in when you get it, but I find it easier to go ahead and put the ands in before and after. It helps me keep it straight. So at the beginning of that measure, this is the last line, second measure, I go 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2 and 3. And that's eighth notes. That's about as complicated as they get. They can get pretty ugly looking if you look at the next piece. Well, it makes sense, so just hang in there. We'll get there. Now, let's look the piece over and make sure we've got it. We have a grand staff, treble and bass clef, 4/4 time. You remember what 4/4 time means. And we looking it over, you got quarter notes and half notes and eighth notes, or quavers. And it goes all the way to the top of page 39. There's the last line is up there. So you got to look for that end of piece symbol. Where is that? Well, remember the end of piece symbol is that thin and thick bar line? That means the piece is over. And that's what I'm looking. Where is it in? Where is that at? And that's where it's at. So just pretend that line is at the bottom of page 38. You just keep going is all it is. So let's check and make sure we got the notes and all that. So the right hand starts here on third finger here. The left hand doesn't come in until the end of the page. And you have that half note at the bottom of page 38. And it's fourth finger here. So we're actually in middle C position again. In fact, that note is the only note the left hand plays. Doesn't matter, you put both hands on the keyboard and you leave them there for the whole piece. Don't be putting a hand up and taking it down and putting it up. That comes much later. Right now, put them up there and leave it there for the whole piece. So we have an E's, a couple of E's, and then an F. And all of these are just quarter notes, so they're just, each one's going to be a beat, however fast you go. 4, so forth. The last line on page 38, the one with the eighth notes, it's there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 3, 4. So forth. So you go through and make sure you can play it and count it out okay. Again, you're only counting at the beginning to make sure you have the rhythm. Once you have the rhythm, you don't need to count it anymore. You feel the rhythm. Then we go in and put in the phrasing. Lift up between each phrase. It's like a breath mark between the sentences. So at the end of the first line, you're here. Lift up before going on. Here. Now at the end of the third line, look out, because they're ending the phrase here, and that's incorrect. That really is. I'm not sure why they did that, because the phrase goes all the way to the half note, the last note here. So that curved line should have gone all the way across the half note. You see, the phrase mark can go to both staves. It can cross a staff here. So it would be that line would just draw it all the way down across above the half note on the lower staff is all. So the last line on page 38, according to the phrasing, is this way. Connect that. So that phrase ends with here, connect it. Then lift up to a new phrase at the top of page 39. So you go ahead and learn it and get to where you're not having to look at the keyboard for it. It's okay, everything's there. Then come back and play it with me, and let's just check, make sure your notes and rhythms are correct. So I'll give us 4 counts, and let's play it together slowly. 1, 2, ready, go. 4. And 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Three, 4.